What is going on, everybody? Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock. It's Monday, March 9th. We're here to talk tonight's 5-gamer in the DraftKings FanDuel streets. If you could, hit that like button as we begin. I'm Eric Lindquist. You can follow me at Eric Lindquist, and I'm joined, well, like I typically am here now these weeks. I tell you what, hanging out with Chris Spags at Chris Spags over on X. You can check him out on the Splash Play podcast as well. Does a fantastic job in the NFL streets, also in the NBA streets, also. You going to be doing some MLB this year, Chris? I mean, we got MLB coming right around the corner.
Yeah, I've been getting some data stuff ready on the back end. We'll be making a go of it as best I can. Candidly, I feel like I've always had the biggest discrepancy for MLB with my own play versus like what Stochastic does writ large, where, the founding team at Stochastic is always crushed at MLB. And like, it's definitely my third of the three sports, but I feel like I made some progress last year with the Stochastic Sims in particular. So I'm hoping MLB will be good, but yeah, I'm going to cover that. I mean, NBA right now, Eric, I feel like people's interest wanes, but to me, these are the gold mine times of NBA DFS. And we have an 8-man Memphis team, when we have another tanking team, the Nets on the other side, when we have the Jazz rolling out even Ace Bailey out of tank. I think it's kind of a fun time this time of year.
It's a good thing for the Sims, my friends. It is a great time to be in the NBA DFS. Don't listen to Spags. It's fantastic in the NBA streets right now because there is madness at every corner. There are so many low-owned options you can sneak into your lineups, whereas if this slate were going down in November, I don't think it would look remotely the same way. For one, the Utah Jazz would be playing Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri Markkanen and Yusuf Nurkic, so on and so forth. Well, we've got other guys to talk about there. We've got Memphis to talk about, Memphis, Brooklyn, kind of a DFS gold mine. And then we've got some expensive options that are really hard to pass up when we have, specifically Jokic, when you have as much value as we've got at like every other position. I think it's going to be a really good slate, and both sites have some interesting nuance as well. Cat power forward on FanDuel, lots of value discrepancies across the sites. I think it's a beautiful time to be out here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's one of those slates where if you do get, whatever deviations off the chalk / trying to find some unique players to put around it, it seems to me like the field's just going to get, 3, 4, 5 Grizzlies plus Jokic, at least on DraftKings. FanDuel, maybe a little bit different, but still 40% ownership on Jokic on FanDuel. I just think, the biggest thing today is to be mindful of, not just falling off the chalk value cliff, but being mindful of getting enough of it in, which is easier said than done, as always.
Well, easier said than done. And also, speaking of things people have said, Spags is my daddy. That's interesting. Lindy and Spags, my favorites. That's not interesting. That's totally understood. NFL streets. We did this every single Sunday together, and I had a blast. You had a blast. We all had a blast, mainly because Puppet Lindquist days are the best days. I don't know about that. Sometimes it's cringe. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I hate it. I never know how I'm going to feel about Puppet Lindquist, but you know what? Sometimes that's life, Spag. Sometimes you feel great. Sometimes you don't feel great. Sometimes you can have a bad day. Sometimes you have a great day. But most days that we get to talk sports on the YouTubes with you together, they're great days. So if you could, hit that like button for us. Spags, Puppet Lindquist, what's the threshold? What number do we have to get in likes to get Puppet Lindquist to appear and, show his ass crack?
Well, he doesn't have one, so I think that'd be pretty tough. But I think for Puppet Lindquist, what's like 400 likes? I don't know what an average like is. I feel like 400 I sell myself short. It's not NFL days. 400 might be asking too much. Is this dumb shit muted?
People are so fucking dumb. All right, let's get ourselves into the data here. We've got everything at Stochastic updated, ready for you to rock. And I think there's a couple of things that we should just start with. For one, let's go to the chalky pieces of today's slate. Walter Clayton Jr., Cam Spencer. I send it over to the data team. I send it over to Rich Green that Memphis, they did have Cam Spencer wearing the blue Memphis blue starters jersey. Shout out T-Money DFS. Shout out my buddy Mike. Shout out my buddy Thomas. A lot of people hit me up being like, how did you miss this? Because normally I'm the one who sends it to people. I had everybody sending it to me. So I'm not even going to take credit for it. But Cam Spencer had the blue starters jersey on at practice. And I think as such, he should be given that tag. But Walter Clayton's still going to play a bunch today. You're still going to have a bunch of other dudes. We have Javon Small as your other starter. And Memphis, as you said before, they have 8 human beings wearing jerseys, period, tonight. They've got Rupert Meshack, Walter Clayton Jr., and then our typical 5 that, not typical at all, but you know what I mean. The 5 that we have projected two of them have to close the basketball game. They're going to do the best they can to have everybody play 30 to 32 minutes, but even more so, Spags, it is a back-to-back for the Memphis Grizzlies. They play tomorrow against Philly, which I do think kind of creates minutes upside for the likes of Walter Clayton Jr. and Cam Spencer and Javon Small. Javon Small wasn't even in the rotation last time that we saw these teams have a back-to-back in the first leg of it against Minnesota. And then he starts and plays a bunch the next side of it. Spags, how the hell do we parse through a team playing 8 bodies today?
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh summed it up pretty well in the strategy show this morning, just talking about, the simple math of it is that you have 8 guys, 240 minutes. You got to have them playing an average of 30 minutes. Doesn't mean they'll all play 30. And right now, the data did move Walter Clayton down a little bit for, I presume, that news that he was not, with the starting group and shoot around today. But still, for Walter Clayton, getting 29 minutes in data looks like a good value. I mean, I think for how Memphis, really is going to roll out, it just comes down to ownership for the most part. Like Walter Clayton now being 62% owned. He's actually coming up 70% for me. Before, when he was looking like a 90, 80, whatever percent play, he was coming up also 65, 70% for me. So I think it really just, the fact that he's not starting, unfortunately, makes him slightly more appealing. I would certainly get, just wanting to play the Memphis starters more, but because it is an 8-man rotation, Clayton can still very easily get there. Meshack can easily get there. Rupert can easily get there if they just earn enough minutes or play well enough to get, more like 33, 34, as opposed to 25 to 28. They're getting off the bench. But I really think for me, Eric, it's just like whatever Grizzlies I'm getting today. I think I like Javon Small the most conceptually. Omax I like as well as a player. Even Jalen Wells at small forward 4,800, think he's really underowned at 21%. But like I'm going to get all these guys mixed into groups. So I think it's just being kind of open-minded to getting them and hopefully unique constructions, getting them, some above, some under. But you want to have, I think, if not all 8 guys, at least the top 6.
Don't lie to me like that. Nuker was on watching Lindy. Almost said Lindy Does It Live. That's not the name of the show. Live with Lindy. That's me. Hi. The other one is Late Night. Late Night, Come Home. Anyway, we got ourselves so many opportunities with Memphis. And the opportunity cost, I think, is just late swapping based on Keontae George news. But I'd be surprised if he played at this point. And we've got ourselves a lot of these Utah guys that are starting to matriculate in through the data already, because this news has come out a little bit earlier than I personally would have liked. But you know what? That's the game we play. That's all right. I think it's really hard to get away from Javon Small today. I think he's the guy that I feel the best about his minutes by far. Brought it up before. He didn't play the front end of a back-to-back when they had a 10-man rotation, and then they were trimmed down to 8, and he just played giga minutes. I think Javon Small is definitely the guy that I feel the best about. Our data feels the exact same way. 65.83% optimal percentage. Ridiculous value on both sites. We'll talk about the blue side here as well. FanDuel, make sure that they get love too. No discrimination here, Squirrel. But Olivier Maxence Prosper, what do you think about him? Because there's no true center that really exists behind it. I mean, Meshack, Rupert, Walter Clayton, we have them projected for 31 minutes, which is just fine. They can limit it and they can go to the 5, GG Jackson. It's also a spot against Brooklyn on the other side that'll bring out 2 true centers in Claxton and Day'Ron Sharpe. I tried to do the bit, but I couldn't, my stupid tongue. But Olivier Maxence Prosper, he's 5K. There is an opportunity cost attached to the position, even on his own team with GG Jackson there. What's your game plan with him specifically? Because power forward became a little bit more valuable with Kyle Filipowski's existence.
Yeah, I mean, for Omax, Olivier Maxence Prosper, I feel like sometimes people don't know the Omax nickname and get confused. And some keep getting YouTube comments. People are like, who's Omax? He's not a hidden player. You're not having to do the Mortal Kombat blood code to get him in. But Olivier Maxence Prosper is a strong play at 5K. Been starting for the most part for this depleted Memphis team at center. Some games have been down, but going against Brooklyn, you do expect it to be a spot, like Eric mentioned, facing those big men that Brooklyn has. Going to be closer to the rim, theoretically, for Prosper. And if he gets hot from 3, if he gets a few steals, blocks, that does mean Omax having the ceiling a little bit more. So right now I have him in half my lineups, Fields at 32%. On DraftKings, that is. I think he looks like a strong play there. And then on FanDuel, I would say relative to the field, I'm even higher, getting 45%, Fields at 28. But both sites to me, Omax looks like a really strong play. I think the biggest thing for him is just that, if he sucks, it can happen. But the minutes that are there, the opportunity that's there in that 8-man rotation and facing Brooklyn, I think you just want to approach these guys without asking too many questions, because this should be a ceiling spot on paper for all of them.
Let's talk about the Utah Jazz. This is kind of your late swap target. We have all 5 games that exist on the slate. We're going to have Denver news with Jamal Murray, Chet Holmgren earlier in the slate. So we'll be able to play Philly, some of those guys, some of the spend ups, Mobley, also somebody power forward eligible. So we're pretty okay with that. But I want to jump to Utah because New York, LAC looks like it's going to be pretty straight up. We got the typical Mitchell Robinson resting on the second half of a back-to-back. They played like absolute dog doo-doo against the Lakers yesterday. That was wild to watch. But this Utah Jazz team just got way more interesting. And what you see on your screen is Keontae George still in the projections. I will say this. He was the earlier downgrade. He hasn't been ruled out yet. It feels like they're kind of figuring out what they can get away with and not get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined. That might be Keontae George literally today. But we already got news. Isaiah Collier out. Lauri Markkanen out. East Bailey out. This is just one of those spots, man. With Collier and Bailey now joining all of those normies that are out, it's just really hard for me not to have a lot of interest here. And if you lose Keontae George, what is stopping Kyle Filipowski and Bryce Sensabaugh from chucking every single shot they see for, 32 plus minutes for each of them? I mean, this Utah team just got way more interesting, Spags.
Yeah, I mean, having no Ace Bailey, no Collier, you're missing 2 guys that drive the offense in different ways, where Bailey is just, chucking really inefficiently, Collier creating a lot of assists for those around him, but also opening up a lot of possessions that would be, a guy, either taking the ball, scoring as Collier does sometimes, but mostly, creating assists for other guys, wide open threes, that kind of stuff. So that kind of all goes away. But for Utah, I don't think anybody looks awesome. Like Keontae George, I think the ceiling is there for sure. But with him getting 30 minutes of the data, I only have them being about a 39.5 projection play. Stochastic at 36.5 and change. Like, it just doesn't seem like he's screaming out right now. But I do think for Keontae George, the ceiling being there is a big thing. Filipowski is same thing at 7,800. Do think that he is a player that has a real ceiling, but you're now paying very real price tags for these guys in a spot where it's not, very friendly Jazz total at 108.5 implied points. And I just think that is not the spot I want to go nuts on, but a tournament upside for sure for those guys, single digit owned. Sensabaugh is the one that I think I'm surprised I'm not getting any of. Shooting guard, small forward, 5,600. He's, almost a 6x value for me. But at 9% ownership, like, there's enough guys that kind of grade out similarly to him. Like all the various Grizzlies players, that a Sensabaugh at 5,600, I think a little bit too expensive for what that projection is, on this particular slate. But certainly if you get Keontae George out, I'm with you that these guys all look more appealing then. And to me, Filipowski, becomes a lot more playable. But as is right now, if you get Keontae George in, if you get Filipowski in, he should be in. You get Sensabaugh and all these guys that get good amounts of shots up. I just don't see the opportunity being huge besides just, single digit owned guys that can spike for a tournament.
We are going to be on opposite sides of that one, my friend. I will be here for all of the Bryce Sensabaugh. I was running through his rates, a little bit about what changes when you take, first off, it's extremely small sample sizes because it has to be. You're taking every player who's like a functional player for the Utah Jazz off the floor. I want to point out some of the usage rates of the guys he's going to be playing around today. Are we ready? John Konchar, 8.3%, first percentile in the NBA. Svi Mikhailuk, 14.1% usage, not exactly there. We got EJ Harkless, 13.3%. We got the idiot that is Cody Williams, 12.8% usage. Somebody has to shoot the damn ball. And I know somebody very willing to do that in Bryce Sensabaugh. I also know the price and probability are things that we're paying attention to on the betting side, very much also on the DFS side, but we have salaries and ownership to be able to kind of dictate where we're going. I don't think he's owned enough at the moment. I really think Bryce Sensabaugh has a path to mega minutes in this specific spot, but that's something we can dive into a little bit more. Obviously, I would love to get Keontae George in after lock, out after lock, not in. In would be bad for my lineups as I've currently got them constructed. But let's go over to guard in general, because this is definitely an opportunity cost position. We talked about Memphis. We talked about the Utah stuff. There's one other piece that exists with a Q tag, and that is Jamal Murray. I'm not sure that he opens anything specifically up on this specific slate, but maybe a little bit of like a Bruce Brown that could maybe fall through the cracks. I doubt it, though. We have such good value here, starting with the first game in Quentin Grimes. He was crazy on this morning, and as news has rolled in, as Utah has continued their tank fest, we've seen some ownership come in across the board on them, across the board here with Nolan against Memphis on the other side, where you don't have Michael Porter Jr. in there. I have so many guards that I'm interested in playing. Is there anybody that really stands out to you that you can't really miss? Because Quentin Grimes, he is a frustrating roster at times.
I mean, yeah, he is, but he has played 40 minutes lately for this depleted team, getting Edgecombe out again, in addition to adding Maxey to the group of guys that are out. Embiid, obviously still being out. Paul George still suspended. Like, I don't know how Grimes doesn't sort of go back to what he was last year. And really, for the rates that I did pull in, I did go back to last year because of the fact this team, it's not exactly the same as it was that really, really bad Philly team last year. But Quentin Grimes' opportunity, I think, is going to be pretty similar. And going back to last season with the various Sixers that aren't available today, it's been about 1,350 possessions, 31% usage for Grimes, 25% assist rate, 1.23 fantasy points a minute, along with 58% and change true shooting. So you're talking about a guy who gets the usage back up to what it was last year. And if people forget, I know there's we've had the joke about he's one of my guys, but last year he was, above 9K for a large portion of the end of the season because he kept going nuts, kept getting a ton of usage. He hasn't been the same player this year, across the board. I've talked about a few times on these shows and my own channels that I think that he really has regressed in terms of just, you go to have that much usage last year to being a guy that's just sort of standing around doing 3-and-D stuff. Again, I think it sort of, takes your attention span a little bit down. But, in the situations we've seen lately, he has gotten more shots up, has gotten more usage. And now, he's probably your lead distributor / creator. So for Grimes right now, I've got him in 2/3 of my lineups, fields under 50. He is definitely a big stand for me. And he'd be my favorite point guard and shooting guard relative to the guys I think, win the most out of a sim.
Somebody asked about his optimal percentage. This is a pretty realistic optimal percentage. It's lower than his actual ownership, but on FanDuel especially, where he has shooting guard, small forward, that is a tough fade in a lot of different ways. 6K over on DK as well. Looks pretty good. I mean, 2.5 threes prop, kind of been looking at that, looked at his points. I ended up betting his points yesterday at 17.5 when I thought it was pretty clear with Philly playing Memphis tomorrow. This felt like a spot that they would rest VJ Edgecombe no matter what, and then they would decide to deploy him tomorrow if he is good to go. But felt like it give him another day, let him relax, because you can kick your feet up on the couch and know you're probably going to get your ass kicked if you're Philly here in this spot, unless I don't know, campaign in the membrane. That'd be an insane one to watch take place. But either way, I'm with you. I think Quentin Grimes still somebody who's pretty chalky, and still, even with his negative optimal percentage, I'm kind of all right playing it because of that shooting guard positionality. Still pretty useful, less utility there. I mean, we've got small forward eligibility for Cam Spencer. Not that I needed all that much with Bryce Sensabaugh. I'm kind of on the other side of that, but there's a lot of interesting plays there. Anything else from Philly that you might want to try to mine out? Because Kelly Oubre, I'm a little surprised to not see any ownership, but then I run the Sims and I'm not really getting there.
Yeah, I mean, he's really one of those guys that this year in these smaller, sample groups, he's just not really getting the usage up. Going back to last year, again, taking all the various Sixers that get high usage, this year and last year, Oubre's had about 500 possessions, 25.6% usage, 14% assist rate, 1.07 fantasy points a minute. So that's what I gave him today. Still, in my data, not as good of a producer as Quentin Grimes. And the fact that Grimes is also getting, a few extra minutes from Stochastic, that helps out a little bit. I think Oubre is safely, to me, a less good play than Grimes. But shooting guard, small forward, 6,400. If you build a little bit more balance, you're not going all the way up to Jokic. Even if you are going to Jokic and you have enough value put in, I do think Oubre is kind of a compelling pivot at 34% less expected ownership than Grimes has. And I like Grimes, but for me, Oubre, getting 2x field or so, a little bit less than that is what I'm at right now. I think feels pretty good if he's going to be 13% owned. He's got a lot of opportunity, just the rates have not been there for him this year.
I think we're going to try to slide a little bit in because it just feels like I'm a little low on him just to have 0 out of the course of 40 lineups on DK, on FanDuel, playing a little bit as well. And yeah, he's a little bit easier for me. Him and Quentin Grimes showing up for me more on FanDuel, which is a little surprising. But hey, at least there's no 3K pieces outside of EJ Harkless, who really, he needed this guy, and this guy to get ruled out to actually be something on this slate. There's nobody sub 4K that I'm really all that interested in outside of Harkless. They priced up some of these dudes to the mid-range, and as such, Kelly Oubre is one of those guys. Tsunami Papi, he can go get you 50. Tsunami Papi can get you 50 on a slate like this by himself for going up against Cleveland. So I don't know. It feels like I'm a little bit off by not having any, but definitely more in the Grimes side of things. I think the ownership is definitely there on him a little bit more, but Just thought I'd talk through Philly. They are an earlier locking game. With that, before we flip it over to FanDuel, let's take a look at the expensive players on this slate, Spags. I'm kind of bouncing all over the place, but it's a 5-gamer. We have plenty of time. You're going to have the Afterlock show with Josh Engleman, which I'm very much looking forward to having on in the background as I'm finishing out props, as I'm putting stuff together, as I'm updating the props tool here at Stokastic on my own, kind of putting in some rates for some of these Utah guys. But Jokic, SGA, Kawhi, Mitchell, no question. If you look at center, it is a desolate place relative to other slates. You have some of these power forward centers that are showing up, but like your next true center is 5,500 Nicholas Claxton in optimal percentage. I mean, it is bleak. I like Cat, but I'm a little surprised to see him as low as what he is in our optimal percentages. You don't have Mitchell Robinson out, but they do roll out Huck Porty. It is kind of what it is. I'll probably maneuver a little bit to get myself to around 15-20% of him when it's all said and done. But like, I don't see how we bypass Jokic on this slate. What's your game plan with Jokic and these spend ups specifically?
Yeah, I noticed when I was doing hand builds earlier today, like that Jokic is just very easy to get to, and it like feels very comfortable to get to him. And yeah, you have the value, you kind of plunk him in at center or utility, and it just makes you spend the money in a way that feels better as opposed to like taking the mid-tier OG Anunoby types of guys or something like that. For Jokic, I think though the fact it's so easy to get to him does make him seem like he'll be a bit overowned. I mean, right now Fields at 53% on DraftKings. I'm getting closer to 40. I feel like him being a half my lineup play, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I do get why I'm getting slightly less because it's just so much of the field being right there. And you could play, instead of playing Jokic, you could play like Brunson and Kawhi and get like no ownership there. You could play the Cleveland guys. You could play Mitchell and Harden and just hope that one of those hits in a major way at not much ownership. You play SGA at slightly more ownership, but still only 24%. I think there's a lot of ways to go that aren't Jokic. So whenever the field's doing that, I do think the game theory does reward you not going, Jokic in every lineup if the field's going to play him in half. But like you're right, the pivots suck. Like Omax playing him at center, I think that's one way to go. Danny Wolf at center, another way to go. I think that feels okay overall. Quinn in post, I feel like if he were to start, we would be more interested in if he were at 3,500 and starting. Coming off the bench, 21 minutes of change. I think he's an okay pivot. I don't know. It's tough to say like these guys are better than Jokic because they're unequivocally not, especially if Jamal Murray's out, then every possession is going to flow Jokic's way. But if Murray's in, you get kind of a pivot there, play somebody else at center. I think you're rewarded for not going lock button Jokic, I think.
I've been loving using the rates tool over here at Stokastic, developed by one Josh Engleman. Did an amazing job along with our devs just putting this beauty together. But for our purposes, we're obviously looking at what happens if Jamal Murray does sit in this spot. And I do think that there's a little bit of a push and pull effect. Like, we are still going to like Jokic no matter what. You're still going to look pretty darn good. But the 3-point, like the rates go slightly up. There's a slight uptick to rebounds, slight uptick to points, slight uptick to assists, and then threes, which are a little bit more valuable over on DraftKings.com. It shouldn't surprise anybody that he has 3% higher usage alongside them. You look at some of his shooting as well. I mean, there's going to be some open opportunity. I brought up Bruce Brown from the onset. He has the most minutes this season without Jamal Murray on the floor. Not surprising. Tim Hardaway Jr., his numbers go way up as well. So maybe there's something to mine out from the value perspective. But like, what changes for you if Nikola Jokic is playing basketball against OKC without Jamal Murray? Because you do have blowout risk, I suppose, but he's the best player on the planet with a rate bump.
Yeah, I mean, I think projection-wise, for me, it would be hard to ignore Jokic just because you're taking away a guy that creates, assists or usage, 60% of the time with Murray being off the court. So to me, Jokic should become more unavoidable there just on the sheer force of the projection. But it's kind of one of those things to me, it's a little bit like Tyrese Maxey where, we don't always get him being great when you take away these guys that have a lot of shots up around him because things constrict a little bit. For Jokic, I don't think they're the same player or anything, but I think there is a little bit of that dynamic. The projection gets so high, it almost becomes hard to hit just because he's absorbing all these stats that are now available. Jamal Murray leaves behind and Peyton Watson to a lesser extent still. But yeah, I don't know. For Jokic, he's hard to fade. Like, I'm not going to make a case to fade him. I just think no matter what happens with Murray, if you're just like, I'll play him in half my lineup, see what the other half does. I think that's the right approach today if he does get 60, 70% owned, especially.
Yeah, if you're playing single entry, especially, it's so hard to imagine if Jamal Murray's out or he's just not an auto click, probably close to it anyway. But for sake of argument's sake, I thought Nikola Jokic, just somebody that I wanted to bring up some of the rates. Plus, look what we've already shared on screen with you. We've had the analytics tab where we have rotations and rates. We have the props tool, which is incredible. The data hub, which is where we've kind of been living at. And then the single lineup sim, giving you a glance at where our data is right now. Obviously, Utah, Keontae George being out can change some things around. And that's where, playing 4 Memphis guys right from the onset. We'll find out when we get that Keontae George news, but it might be after that game locks. Very interested to see where Utah ownership comes in, but the point I'm saying for all of this, Spags, is promo code NBA LBL is down in the video description box below. You guys can check that out. Get yourself some great data and tools, exactly what we're sharing on screen on a day in, day out basis. You can see exactly when the projections are updated, ownership's projected. You can play it for large field contests, small field contests for the single lineup sim. And of course, the Coup de Grace, the contest generator, help you make some winning positive EV lineups, sims, 4 days. It's good times over here at Stokastic. So if you're interested, 15% off with promo code NBALBL down below. We got Jokic, we got SGA. Who's the next guy up for you amongst these spend ups? Because there are paths where you can get to a Jokic SGA. They're not pretty paths, and they probably require EJ Harkless for me. But who else are you going to be spending up for today?
Yeah, I'm mostly holding hands with guys like Kawhi, Donovan Mitchell. Hard I was getting more of earlier, but he's come down a little bit for me. But still, you're getting about 10% of him. Brunson getting 13 to 15% of. Jamal Murray, I'm getting about 10% of. It just seems like overall I kind of redistributed, going a little bit under the field on Jokic by about, let's say, 13%. A little bit under the field on SGA by about 5%. And just kind of moved that around to everybody else who's in that range. I would say I don't really have a lean. Kawhi, to me, emotionally / how he's played this year, when you take off Harden, you take off Zubac, you're talking about 38% usage rate guy. I think that he does stand out to me based on the data, as opposed to Mitchell and Harden that are just kind of carving up the same role, and one of them can spike if the other one fails, kind of thing. But really, to me, it's just anybody. Brunson, same thing. Even Chet Holmgren, I'm not crazy about him only getting 3%, but anybody who's not Jokic or SGA that has a ceiling, I think just rolling the dice on them and putting it with your chalk, that's going to make you unique enough, is my guess.
Love. Langston Cole, 19X. I don't know where those tags come from on the back end, but $1.99. Be Sensabaugh, Cody Williams or Zaire Williams, and DeAnthony Melton DK. 2 guys on the right side we haven't talked about yet, because I find them less intriguing than the guys on the left side. However, Cody Williams, I do not like Cody Williams and his 0.66 fantasy points per minute. He needs to play 38 minutes today for me to really want to ramp him up. I don't think that's really in the cards for a tanking team, but maybe. I think it's just the B Sensabaugh piece that I really, really want. But if it's a 2v2 and you're looking for something from each of them, you got to go Williams, Melton, as much as I like Sensabaugh over everybody else there.
Yeah, I don't really love either side. Sensabaugh looks good. Cody Williams, to me, is not really ever anything, even on these skeleton crew teams. But the other side, Zaire Williams is not really a play anymore. He was a play at Stochastic State earlier, but I don't think they're even close now.
Yeah, I don't think he's really there for me anymore either, but I'll have to refresh and get some stuff done on my side, doing this on tap right here. Yeah, I'll be able to have this done by the time we get through some of these super chats. How many Grizz from Olin Johnson 420, member for 5 months? Love to see it. How many Grizz too many? 5 would be a lot. But we just had 4 in the optimal. And I don't think 5 is completely out of the question on an 18 team if that game just shoots out.
Yeah, I think 5 to me still seems pretty playable. 6 would be too many, is what I'm seeing in my data. I think 4, if you want to get a little bit less, it's kind of like showdown rules, where if you know everybody's going to play, 5 1-on slots, you play more 4-2s, more 3-3s. I think my guess is that the field's going to naturally play 5 Grizzlies pretty easily.
All righty. And I'm bypassing the FanDuel one because I do want to switch over to FanDuel, and we'll be able to get ourselves over there to the blue site. I promised you, we're at the halfway point of the show. We're flying. Mastermind Magruder 6851, $1.99. Appreciate you. Grimes or Melton, and favorite player at each position, DK single entry. So for the first one, we're both Grimes, right?
Yep.
Yeah, pretty handily. Favorite play by position. So, I'm going to be somewhat chalky here just because I do think that there's low owned pieces, but the chalk, Javon Small looks incredible to me at point guard.
Yeah, I mean, Chet being out, that just came through right now. I don't know if that's going to move anything, but I'm just going to flag that in case it does move things. Point guard for me would also be Grimes.
I mean, Jalen Williams is going to be somewhat fun. Jalen Williams will be fun.
Yes.
So we'll get that update here while we are on this one for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think and that might move things around too. That's sort of why I wanted to couch it accordingly. But yeah, point guard for me, Grimes. Javon Small, though, I don't mind either.
Yeah, shooting guard, Cam Spencer, I do think he starts, but small forward, I'll maybe save him for that. I'll go to Grimes.
I mean, yeah, Cam Spencer, shooting guard, Walter Clayton, shooting guard, I think are the ones. But Spencer to me is like pretty much a cut above.
And then small forward, yeah, Cam Spencer is definitely there, and my boy Bryce Sensabaugh.
Yeah, Cam Spencer for me, it's small forward, but obviously I took him for shooting guard. I like Jalen Wells. I think he's the one guy that, seems underowned to me relative to how much I'm getting him.
All right, to power forward we go, and I'm going to get a little bit off the board here. I'm going to fire up the Guy Santos.
Oh, okay. I would go Omax or GG Jackson there.
Yep. I was going to say, those guys are, it goes without saying, so I hope you understand why they're going to play a bunch, and I mean, there's just no bigs, and they're the only two like remotely big human beings, I guess, besides Rupert to some extent, but they don't want to play him a lot. And rounding it all out here, Jokic is the clear-cut winner at center. Do you have anything else at center?
Yes, center. I mean, if I weren't playing Omax at power forward, he would be a guy I do have having a slightly higher, sim rate than Jokic. But yeah, Jokic should be number one. Danny Wolf, I would also say we didn't mention him.
Oh, Danny Wolf, yeah. We'll throw him in power forward center. Looks ridiculous there to some extent. No Michael Porter Jr., that's a thing. Very curious to see Brooklyn's starting lineup for what it's worth. I mean, there's no necessity Zaire Williams starts, but I assume he does. I don't think Clowney playing the 3 would make a ton, but yeah, I suppose it could happen. Best plays FanDuel by position. Please love. Yes, you are very welcome. As we go over to FanDuel, I talked about it before. You have a little bit different positionality for Quentin Grimes. That was the first thing that really stood out to me. But the other thing is that these Golden State guys, they continue to be popular over here. And my boy Guy is really popular. Small forward, power forward. We got the GG Jackson piece. We've got Danny Wolf. We've got some other interesting stuff going on here on the blue side. But by position, point guard, Javon Small, that remains the same no matter what. I do think he's the guy who has the chance to play the most, knowing that it's a back-to-back, knowing they play tomorrow, and that you're going to get Scottie Pippen and Ty Jerome back, where they can absorb most of those minutes. And Small probably just falls back out of the rotation again. At shooting guard, we got ourselves D'Anthony Melton, Quentin Grimes, kind of the same situation there. Pajemski showing up a little bit more over on the blue side. Guy, very chalky over at small forward, but I'm just fine with that one as well. Did we remove the starting tag from GG Jackson? That's kind of interesting. Maybe that's just an accident.
That might be I feel like that might be a name structure thing.
Okay. That's got to be exactly what it is. I love that you're just so smart and you know things.
Well, it's because like he has weird names on FanDuel, so I've noticed it too. So that whenever you're laboring over the V lineup things, kind of what's that called? I'm an idiot. Index matching would be the other one.
Correct. So. Yeah, just get ready. MLB time. You never know which Will Smith, unless, I don't even, dude, it's a whole thing. Guy Santos, also power forward eligible. Danny Wolf, you had brought him up before, sub 5K. That looks pretty darn good for me there. But Mobley, 7,800 power forward eligible. Karl Anthony Towns, power forward eligible as well, like both of them quite a bit. And rounding it out, center. Just kind of flew through that for you. Also, Kyle Filipowski, 7,600 looks really nice to kind of mix in with power forward eligibility on the blue side. Any ads you wanted to bring in? I just thought I'd fly through that for you.
No, I think those were mostly the guys that seemed to have the highest optimal rate. I mean, I think Mobley being power forward center on FanDuel seems to have a little bit more utility at that price tag, seems underowned. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the chalk is pretty similar on both sites. But like you mentioned, Grimes being a little bit different seems to be the most that stand out.
Spags is a sharp guy. He's a fun guy. Spags is the best. Everybody's saying you're awesome and lovely and fun. It's all fun and well until the nuke of the night turns his ankle. That's what I'm just saying. Will Smith. Also plays hockey. That's annoying. Continue.
I don't know that Will Smith at all, so he means nothing to me.
No. Morgan Weber, confirmed hockey guy. I think we're kind of at this point in the program. I want to give it one more second here. I'm watching it. Coming in live. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Do we get it? Yep. We just got it as I say that. The projections update for Oklahoma City. Want to share that on screen before we do some freaky naughty things, like blow my dick off and stuff.
You should advertise that one in advance if you blow your dick off on stream.
Probably not. I don't know. Let's go Oklahoma City. I just want to pull this up here because with Chet Holmgren out, things can change. And I'm very curious to see if anything pops outside of SGA a little bit more. But Jalen Williams, yeah, it really isn't creating tons of value. I guess we're still waiting a little bit on. Nope, the optimals are updated. That's wild. Basically, just SGA took a little bit of a bump up, Spags.
Yeah, I'm waiting to pull the ownership in so I could rerun everything, but it does seem like you're maybe not getting the biggest gains for anything. I mean, rate-wise for OKC, when you do take Jalen Williams, Holmgren, Hartenstein off, you are still looking at SGA being the biggest winner by a really big margin at 1.6. You have Fantasy Sports Minute, Jalen Williams, the Y at 1.1. Everybody else on the team under 1, so you don't really have anybody gaining appreciably, rate-wise. I guess your McCain types maybe can have more of a ceiling with no Caruso and then losing some more usage. But yeah, really, I'm with you. I don't think it's going to help out anybody too much here. And it does not seem like Jalen Williams mega chalk day.
Yeah, it does. We just got the update. We just got the update through as it went across. 5,700 Jalen Williams starting to get freaky naughty. 1.06 fantasy points per minute, 45% ownership. Oh my God. You know what? This is a good time to let it all simmer, to let it all relax. Or, I don't know, let's blow shit up. Oh my God. We just got another chalky option on another chalky slate. Danny Wolf going to come down for me. That's for sure. That just changed a little bit of what's going on. And that kind of makes me okay. But also, what if he ends up low owned at 4,500? Because he's a really good fantasy producer. But you know who also is a good fantasy producer? My Nuke of the night. But first, Chris Spags, who is going off tonight?
I mean, I guess given that his ownership is coming down, I mean, is a 42% owned play still a Nuke of the night? Is that legally allowed?
No, absolutely not. Fuck off.
No, but okay. No. That's gonna go Quentin Grimes. I feel like that's
oh my God, no, absolutely. Quentin Grimes was the chalkiest player this morning. When I have to, no. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. No.
What
are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Fine. I'm looking for somebody else. I don't really have, this is not a very contrarian day for me. I guess my most contrarian play does not feel like a Nuke of the night. But Jalen Wells under 20% owned.
That's a Nuke of the night. That is a Nuke of the night. Come on now. What are we doing? What are we actually doing here?
Grimes keeps coming down and the chat's like campaign. Oh, the sky's falling. Campaign starting. No, he's just going to watch Quentin Grimes do a lot of stuff. Campaign is washed at this point. Now, anyway, whatever. Fine. It's not Quentin Grimes. It's Jalen Wells. The guy's producing just under 1 fantasy point per minute when you take off the various Grizzlies who actually do things on the team. He's been stuck in the starting role where he's a guy that's just out there for quote unquote 3 and D, mostly just D and kind of win sprints. But with the role kind of blossoming a little bit more, he gets up to 22% usage with the various Grizzlies not available. Think he'll safely play 30 plus minutes here for the shorthanded Grizzlies. So Jalen Wells, not Quentin Grimes, will be my Nuke of the night.
18% ownership, 16% optimal, a little bit of negative leverage, but small forward only, 4,800. I don't completely hate where your head's at. But that being said, my guy is right above it. Bryce Sensabaugh, man. If Bryce Sensabaugh gets to 30 minutes, I would want to have eternal amounts of it. This guy just chucks. When you take all of the main cogs off the floor routinely, this guy has had 35% type usage. It is absurd how much Bryce Sensabaugh chucks in garbage time. Guess what? This is all garbage time with Utah. This is all he gets is garbage time. There's still the chance that Keontae George can end up out. I wanted to make EJ Harkless the guy, but I don't want to stamp him no matter what. I will stamp Bryce Sensabaugh no matter what. He goes ballistic, 20 plus points. We'll find some assists on accident because, eventually they're going to double team him and then he'll have to pass once, supposedly. But I don't know. I see 20 plus shot attempts in our future. Bryce Sensabaugh, Nuke of the night. Suck it, Spags.
What? I got Sensabaugh at 23%. I got Jalen Wells at 35.
Okay,
I'm not out on Sensabaugh. That's not a suck at Spags.
You had 9% before. So I
fucking things are updating here, man. I don't know if you noticed the NBA seems to be a lot of updates.
I'm acting like I have power or something because Greg and Josh aren't yelling at me today. Here we are, $1.99 from Master Magruder again. Would you play Wells over Wolf in single entry? I mean, those are two very different things. Like, look at this. Player. We go Wolf, the Wolf man. He's hungry like a wolf. Or who's the other guy? Your boy Wells.
Yeah, Jalen Wells.
Not Wells from Bachelor in Paradise, but the one who's married to the chick from Modern Family. But he's got a golf podcast now.
I don't know. I know Wells Fargo. I know Bonzi Wells.
You know Wells Fargo. Congratulations. Oh my God. Jalen Wells, a little bit lower projection here. Obviously, the minutes upside, very much there for Jalen Wells. Danny Wolf off the bench. That's a little, I will say this. Danny Wolf's looking much, much more popular, but our optimal percentage is just way up there on a good fantasy producer in a garbage game, garbage spot. I'd still stick with Wolf, but I mean, it depends on what else is in your lineup.
The Nets starters come out. I feel like I heard you say Wolf not starting, and I think chat said that, but I don't see starters.
No. I'm assuming that he's not starting. He's not starting in our projections. I'm just saying that assuming that he's not starting, assuming what we've got right now in front of us. Yeah. Traore, Mann, Williams, Clowney, Claxton. Good times.
Okay.
Should be what it is. We did get the campaign piece. I suppose we should take a look and see if we got it updated and throw that in. But we had him starting for what it's worth. I know that. Rich knows shit. Rich knows things. Rich knows ball. That's what matters the most. A little bit of positive leverage on campaign in our lives. Campaign in the membrane.
I think what it comes down to, and sites like Stochastic, I think have to do this way because it's number one, just good process to defer to the longer term sample size of guys. Campaign's had a long career of being this kind of micro score off the bench. He has been terrible this year though. 17% usage, 0.76 fantasy points per minute, 35% true shooting, which it can't hold. Like Campaign's actually a guy that can knock down some shots, but like he's been so bad. Accounting for the fact that he's been this bad, I don't see getting to campaign as much today. But obviously, if he's going to go back to old campaign, this is the day. But just taking his rates more so, weighted towards this season, he only projects like a 20 fantasy point guy for me now. And granted, I know the old campaign would have looked better, but he has not been the old campaign, even in small usage groups for Philadelphia so far this year.
So you're not going on the campaign trail?
No, I will not be going on the campaign trail. Thank you. It would be a better joke in an election year, but it's okay. You did the best you could.
People are getting elected for shit right now.
Right now? In March?
I don't know. Just like in general. I saw elections. There's like election stuff. Things going on.
Like you're getting confused. I think you're thinking of erection.
I love those. Anyway, we got ourselves more data updates. We just got the projections updated. I'm going to refresh it here for ownership as we're going along our merry way. Just another classic Eric Lindquist, Christopher Spags. Lovely show. We're at 231 likes. That's not 400. Puppet Lindquist ain't showing up here yet, but what is showing up here? The Stochastic Hall of Fame. You guys want to check it all out. Stochastic.com/HOF. You simply complete that form, set your avatar to one of the official Stochastic avatars that we have listed on that page. Upload your avatar to DraftKings and FanDuel. Place in the top 3 of any GPP with 5,000 plus entries. Must have 2 or fewer ties. And you post the winning screenshot on X. Include Stochastic HOF at the end of your post. That would be ideal. At the end of your post is especially helpful to all of those involved. X is always changing every day. It's a living organism. It changes its rules and its terms of service and all those things all the time. Why don't you throw it in at the end of your post and see what happens? I'll tell you what'll happen. Something good for you. Getting an entire month of The Sims in any sport by signing up with the Stochastic Hall of Fame and finishing in that top 3. So I'd love to see it. You'd love to see it. We'd all love to see it. You'll probably get a retweet from me too, because I love to see it. All right. We got ourselves the updates. We've got 14 minutes. Hit that like button as we start really getting more granular with our lineups here. Some of the bigger changes. Javon Small continues to just break everything for me. The most leveraged piece that we've got going here, but campaign starting to sneak up a little bit, starting to get to a place where it's really hard for me not to like a little bit of campaign, even though I really don't like the idea in general. Welcome to DFS. Sometimes you do things you don't want to do. Isaiah Joe kind of creeped up as well. We've got him as the presumed starter, 29.5 minutes for him. I find that one to be kind of an appealing one. OKC in general, we talked about the Jalen Williams piece, but now Gary Payton has a bunch of positive leverage, although not a lot of popularity because Cam Spencer has small forward eligibility. Power forward, Jalen Williams has really just shot up the board, and Nikola Jokic continues to get more and more optimal by the second. Spags, anything showing up in your lineups that is drastically different from when we started other than like everything?
Yeah, I mean, I just pulled in everything again, so I'm rerunning stuff, but does seem like in the sim I ran quick. Oh, now I'm just blocked out from it. Hold on 1 second. I'll tell you what I'm looking at here. Cam Spencer actually is taking a massive jump up for me overall, and I was kind of seeing the data before too, but Cam Spencer now looking like about a 62% play for me or so. So actually have him a little bit ahead of Quentin Grimes in my data. It's not a crazy stand relative to the field, but it is an appreciable change in my lineups because I was not getting Cam Spencer everywhere. But I think the fact you're saying starter jersey for him, the fact we don't know the starters for the team yet officially, but that is a little bit of an inkling that that Eric got and mentioned earlier. I think that for Cam Spencer feeling like he's going to start at 4,800 shooting guard small forward, I'd rather have more now. And then if I have to swap off that because he's not starting, even though, assume he will, I think I'd rather have more than less of Cam Spencer right now.
I would rather have more than less for sure. Cam Spencer starting just looks freaky naughty. And they play tomorrow. And so I do assume it's just a lot of him and Javon Small, knowing that Ty Jerome and Clayton probably gets mixed in a little bit both days where, he can play the 28 minutes today, 30 minutes today, and then go tomorrow and play, low 20s pretty easily. Just feels like they're kind of calculating out these minutes, and Cam Spencer could just be the major beneficiary of that. I think that's just reading the tea leaves, what I think Memphis is going to do here in this spot. And obviously you are tuning in for our opinions, but also I hope you're tuning in for our data that is updating. Rich doing an awesome job on a slate that's a 5-gamer that I thought would maybe be benign. No. Woke up to chaos, and I love chaos. Over on FanDuel, point guard, SGA just went nuclear. 52%, 52% optimal. Ridiculous stuff over there. Donovan Mitchell, he looks like some of the early piece of value there. Let's talk about that first game. So remind me as soon as I get out of the FanDuel slides as we're talking through some of this. Kawhi Leonard, he is also boosted up there a little bit. We're getting more value in our lives as if we needed any more, but making those guys a little bit more accessible. We got Guy Santos, a lot of these dudes. Jalen Williams now 52% owned over on FanDuel. Zowie. And then rounding it all out, Jokic still very, very popular over there. Mobley sitting on there at 31%. A little bit of positive leverage. I do think Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, really nice early information FanDuel pieces. But Spags, let's talk the first game. Is there anything on DraftKings that you cannot live without in Philly, Cleveland, besides Grimes?
Yeah, I mean, Grimes definitely would be the one that stands out. I mean, can't live without, I wouldn't say I feel that way, but I think with Grimes ownership, that does go hand in hand to me with getting Oubre, who would have, I would say, the second biggest ceiling on the team. I mean, projection-wise, they're a pretty big jump ahead of everybody else. It's not a hot take or anything. But I feel like if Grimes fails at 40% plus own, Oubre probably had a better shot of having a decent day. Or they just got blown out entirely, and maybe that affects somebody else positively here. But yeah, I think really for this game, it is mostly Grimes. Like, you take Oubre away from me, I don't think I would lose a whole lot. Grimes, I would, though. Grimes, I'd lose a lot in my lineups.
Yeah, I think I definitely need Grimes to go nuts. Probably just kind of as I'm finishing out everything over on FanDuel as well. Playing a lot of him small forward, shooting guard. Hi, EJ Harkless, Bryce Sensabaugh. How are you this fine day? Sensabaugh, small forward as well. Man, there's a lot of interesting plays over on the FanDuel side for today that we have kind of combed through, but none better still. Javon Small, nobody wanting to get there. I'll just jam it and figure out what happens later here. Cam Spencer, both sites, everything, both sites. I mean, this is just one of those slates where you better like the value in your lineups.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to, I think, and that sort of lends me to think too that, the balance builds with your Oubre types, your 6 to 7K players. Maybe that's where you get your Filipowski, Keontae George exposure. It's too easy to just jam in all the value and pay up for whatever you want. And the field's again going to pay up for Jokic over and over again, it looks like.
All right, we got ourselves more super chats. We got ourselves KGDR24, Santos, or Jay Williams FanDuel. Both, a lot of both, but Williams looks better now, which is just life comes at you fast.
Yeah, I would think it's Jalen Williams, a little bit overowned, but he's making half the optimal lineup. So yeah, Jalen Williams.
DK, how does Draymond look? How does Draymond look other than pissed off? Like, we know he's going to be pissed because it's Draymond, but besides that, 13 and change % ownership, 12% optimal percentage. Do you have any Draymond Green in your life? From Sam Van Dam, $4.25 super chat. Really appreciate that.
No, I have like 7% of Draymond right now. I'm kind of finalizing my lineups. I think he's not a terrible play. Maybe on another slate, he'd be owned a little bit more. But to me, I think he's like a 5X guy in a slate where we have a bunch of 6X guys. So nice pivot, I guess, on that front. But I don't see the reason to go to Draymond. I just hate Draymond when you have Steph out. Like, he doesn't ever seem to ever really hit a ceiling.
You could just say you hate Draymond, full stop. It's okay. You're a hater.
Yeah. Also fair. He had a funny thing though recently where he was like, parents keep telling him like, oh, my kid in high school or middle school plays like you. And he's like, they shouldn't play like me at that level because you have to be like an elite offensive player at those levels to get to be Draymond Green. And people don't grasp that. But yeah, Draymond is an actual, adult NBA player. Not so great.
Yeah, he's a baby. That's fine. I've enjoyed him whenever he's been like on the TNT desk back in the day. Now, what is he going to be on the ESPN desk? That'll be weird to see this year. CZW, Oubre, or Gigi and a $4 GPP. I'm playing one lineup. Which one is better for you? I definitely want the Gigi Jackson piece of those two.
I like Oubre at his ownership, but I'm getting definitely more of Gigi Jackson. Oubre, though, I am going to be about the field on, getting like 30% right now, and the field's at 11.
I mean, it's just one's a lot more popular than the other. Both slight positive leverage. So for what that's worth, I do think, sorry, Ms. Jackson, it's going to be good stuff for us. I'm feeling pretty good about my lineups now as I'm updating it. Famous last words.
Get a lot of Quinn in post.
Oh boy. Unreg.
It's a lot of value.
We didn't even talk about Quinn in post. Do you want to talk Golden State? Pajemski? Anything there?
Yeah, I mean, Pajemski's really expensive. I think Quinn in post is the most interesting player because you have no Horford, so he's going to get you 20 minutes most likely. You have a chance that he could start, I think, which would certainly help him out a lot. No Will Richard, another set of minutes that are available to go around for guys like Quentin Post. So, I think he's like at least a 20% play to me. I don't know that I want to get him as much as I'm getting him, kind of knocking it down. He's not a bad value. I think he's going to be a forgotten value on the slate. And if you gave him 2 more minutes, he would not be a forgotten value.
Fair enough. I think both are pretty interesting tournament plays, but obviously the Jackson piece a lot higher owned. I think that does it for super chats here. We got 6 minutes left. If you could hit that like button, and also don't forget everything that we're sharing here on screen, the Sims, the analytics, the props, everything is available over at stokastic.com. You can use promo code NBALBL. That is NBALBL to get yourself hooked up with 15% off any of it. And the props tool has been awesome. We got 21 books supported in Arizona, California. We've got a ton of good stuff going on there as well. There's tons of plays that are updating in real time for you, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. So you have an opportunity to just say, hey, well, I only have prize picks in my state. I can't play anything else. This is what I'm, stuck with. Well, the tools can help you with that. In fact, carving out some really good edges, especially when fixed payout sites are going to hook you up in a certain way. Well, 3.5 rebounds for Gary Payton. Isaiah Joe, under 4.5 rebounds for him. Danny Wolf, over 2.5 assists. There's some really nice expected value stuff sitting at the top of this tool. Right now, I've got it at a blended 50-50. Probably want to lean a little bit harder into our projections. Well, that's fantastic. You want to lean a little bit more into a model that's splitting the difference between top-down and bottom-up approaches. Well, you can do that as well. So no matter what, no matter where you are, you have tools catered to help you make some money. Yeah, there's some really good value showing out here right now over in the Pick'em streets as well. So I'm going to be getting off of that and firing it up. I'm looking forward to my evening, and you should be too, with Josh Engleman coming up in 5 minutes. 5 minutes after lock here. That'll be the Afterlock show, breaking down everything, any news that pops, and we might get some weird starting lineups. You're not going to want to go anywhere. Stick around. We appreciate you guys being here, checking in on the likes, only at 300. Sounds like Puppet Lindquist isn't going to be showing up today. That's a bummer.
I mean, look, we got a whole week here. I'm going to be filling in literally until Saturday. So we got
love filling
lots
in.
Of time. And now Josh is here too. And if Josh is here, Puppet Lindquist gets shy. He just goes back to his little turtle hole. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of Josh. Josh is so cool.
Oh my God, you're so embarrassing as a person. You don't like him at all. You told me before this show that you said, I hate Josh so much.
That's what we always talk about. Josh, everybody knows, one of my longest term literal friends in DFS. We've been doing this for a very long time. So I would never say that about Josh. You've besmirched your own name by slinging those arrows, Mr. Lindquist.
Be nicer. Be better. It's really not even well, it's whatever. Let's finish this all out. Let's put a bow on this here. Going back to the data hub, that is, shared your rates tool. So you should be happy with me, Josh. Fucking A. All right. But yeah, no, it was fantastic. It was really fun to be able to utilize on stream today. And yeah, Jokic, oh, he looks better with Murray off the floor. Way to go, Eric. Really helpful to the people. But you can utilize that for anything. And obviously, there's not a lot with the Memphis situation. I want to just point out Javon Small, Cam Spencer. With Cam Spencer in that blue little starters jersey, I mean, small forward is very useful to get eaten up by him there. He's really the only small forward in the first top 10 that we've got in terms of the ownership here. D'Anthony Melton then starts showing up for a little bit later. Anything you're doing in your lineups to backload it for Utah or anything that you've boosted whatsoever?
No, I'm not, because I don't really care about getting EJ Harkless when we have Memphis looking like they do. Harkless would, I think, be a guy that plays a lot of minutes for Utah today if you did get Keontae George out, but he's not very good. I don't think I need to prioritize that when I'd rather play Grimes, Spencer, Omax, GG Jackson, Javon Small, Wells even. So yeah, I'm not prioritizing it. I presume I'll have enough swappability left to make some moves. But it's one of those things. I'm not as good at it as Eric is, but I'm curious if you have any kind of things you're leaving a light on for.
Yeah, I am for EJ Harkless purely because he's the only sub 4K piece on this entire slate that is doing anything for me. I do find it strange that we've gotten these slow matriculating Q tags that have gotten removed. Collier really early in the day, then followed up by Ace Bailey. So I am still going to say Keontae George, maybe you set it at 50, 50, 45, 55, 55 he doesn't play because I'm inclined to have it. But it's such an interesting piece on both sides. I mean, this team would be 9 bodies, and you kind of look at the construction of it. He's really your main ball handler. Bryce Sensabaugh can do enough of it. There's just nobody else really. Svi Mikhailuk has done the we don't give a shit point guard thing, but that's the point. Is this is a team actively trying to screw things up, trying to suck. And Bryce Sensabaugh can actually be good at times. He did that Miami thing, which was just insane that I brought up earlier in the day, but yeah, I've backloaded a little bit of EJ Harkless just because of what that can do for my lineups and the amount of SGA Jokic I can get into them.
Yeah, I mean, look, Harkless, I think, could get the Isaiah Collier, all the run in the world kind of situation, or about as close to that as you can get. I just wish he were fractionally as good as Isaiah Collier, and then I'd probably, go out of my way to do it more.
Oh, he doesn't have a 40% assist rate? No, he does not.
No.
He's got a 12%, 14% usage. Yeah, it's not ideal. Again, Bryce Sensabaugh, there's nobody with any usage on Utah that's left besides Filipowski and Sensabaugh. So I find that to be really fun, but we got ourselves 1 minute left. We're going to close it all down here. Really enjoyed this show. Really enjoyed breaking down this 5-gamer with y'all. Stayed pretty busy throughout. Obviously, news rolling in, and you're not going to want to go anywhere. We got Josh coming up here next, but Chris Spags at Chris Spags. That's where you follow him over on X, and the Splash Play podcast. Give him some love. Any final words for the people as we get out of here?
I'll be doing my residency this week on the channel with Eric, so it'll be a good mix here, back on the grind. But now excited for the slate. Hope it's a good one for you guys as well. Check out my streams Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. Learn more about what I'm doing at splashplaypodcast.com. And now we get Josh. Now we get to let him do all the hard work, right? This is the hard part, the Afterlock show.
He gets to be by himself. It's exactly where he wants to be, right, Josh? Right, Josh?
Yeah, pretty much. I like the idea of you doing a residency like you're Celine Dion. That's incredible.
Posted up at Caesars.
Everybody comes from around the country to come see me talk DFS takes on the Memphis Grizzlies 8-man roster. It's a lot of fun.
Man.
Yeah, just like I mean, I guess I'll take the tickets. Person standing outside the arena being like, "Do you want to come in?" Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like the I think you should leave bit where it's just like them yelling at Tim Robinson. That's what my show doing DFS stakes in Vegas would be. But I would give it a shot if they would pay me enough easily.
These are all good things. These are all good things. Also good things. Josh Engleman, he's here with you for the next hour. With that, he's Chris. He's great. I'm Eric. I'm okay at times. Josh might disagree. That's all right. We'll see you guys next time tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, Josh.
Later, boys. All right, everybody. Fun starts now. First things first, let's change this view. Do not need that. Perfect. Let's get the screen shared. Let's have some fun, shall we? I think we're all on the same page. We're looking for some fun. First thing I got to do is turn off the night shift mode on my computer because everything is dark as hell. Now we're talking. Now we'll move this camera, skosh. What a stupid slate for Memphis, huh? Craziness. Jalen Williams was not the thing that he is now when I did my show earlier today. Philly is the Quentin Grimes show once again. Value out the wazoo on this 5-gamer. Let's also get some light tunage in the background for ourselves here. What does rock sound like? No, that's not going to work. Feeding the ducks? Okay. Yeah, we'll feed the ducks. And get some light music on in the background while we do this bad boy. Okay. Yeah, now this'll get us where we need to be. Welcome to Live After Lock, everybody. Monday, March 9th. We've got some basketball to talk about here. We've got nowhere else to be. Cleveland, Philly just started. We've got 2 games locking at 7:30. Let's hang out for a bit, shall we? And honestly, let's dive into this first one. Nuggets will start. Murray, Brown, Johnson, Gordon, Jokic. How many times have they started this year? It can't be a lot, right? How many times have those 5 guys started? It's got to be a shockingly minimal amount. Gordon, Jokic, Murray, Cam, Christian Brown. $11 games. That's nuts. That's just so minimal for what is your, I guess, technical preferred starting lineup. I bet Peyton Watson has a little bit to say about that, but truly, that's you'd like to see more than 8-3, you know? What are they when those guys have started? Yeah, in the 11 games that their preferred starting lineup has been on the court, plus 9.5. Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, let's have some fun. We got a couple things that we can do. Let me see. Okay, that's what we're going to want here. 30% profit boost on DraftKings. Same game parlay or something. But we're going to build it a little different. I'm going to get you guys involved for this if you want to have some fun. I did a show earlier today, and we got to interact a little bit. And I think it would be fun if we built an actual same game parlay or just some parlay based on what you guys pick. D parlay, you're on the right track. Pull up the tool from this morning. Incoming. We'll talk it through. I'm trying to figure out which promo I want to use from the DraftKings side. It might be tough to get to 4 legs from the same game. Oh, okay. All right. It's only a $5 max bet, but it'll be fun anyway. $20 20% all-purpose boost. So that means I can use it on anything, which means we could use whatever we want here. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to start here in Odds Shopper on the Portfolio EV tab, looking at what looks like the best possible things for us to bet on. Now, I am going to do one thing. At least for this one, I'm going to switch to DraftKings NBA. At the moment, only 4 positive EV items. Not ideal for us. But even still, could be kind of fun. You know what? This will help me get the point across, and then we can build something out after the fact. So let me grab these lines. And now we can have some fun. What we're going to do is rank these bets based on how much we actually like them. Ooh, also, looks like I need to hit some DFS stuff before we do anything. Drake Powell and Danny Wolf starting for Brooklyn. It's going to be Nolan Traore, Powell, Wolf, Clowney, Claxton. Cam Spencer starting for Memphis. Let me get tweets pulled up so you guys can see that on the screen too. So we've got Traore, Powell, Wolf, Clowney, Claxton going for the Nets. Updates incoming. And then per Rich, Cam Spencer confirmed starting for Memphis. So shout out to Rich. Obviously, at this point in time, that information is way more important than me just showing you guys a fun tool to build a parlay. So we'll keep an eye on projections. And when they get updated, I'll go ahead and pull that up on the screen. We can talk through the Brooklyn pieces. So now, let's see, while that continues to load. I'd really like to go to more than 4 of these if I could. Let's scrap this. Coffee and Kush for the late swaps. Coffee. Seems, look, I love myself some coffee. This seems late for it. Am I crazy? But that seems a little late when it comes to coffee. Post-meal, I guess. Michael Thomas, what does that mean for Zaire Williams? He was already only 3% owned, 3% optimal, so he just looks even worse than that. That's kind of the issue. He already wasn't a great option starting. You know what? I know what we can do. In lieu of Portfolio EV, we're going to wait out the props tool. That's going to be our jumping off point for finding our bet. And I'll show you guys why in a second. Might actually have to help myself out with that. Let's go to the props tool so I can get a screenshot here. Perfect. All right, I'll get to work on that. I assume Rich is hard at work getting you guys a projections update for this Brooklyn side. But realistically, with Wolf starting, already 40% owned, 40% optimal in just under 24 minutes, even just giving him a minute is massive for his projection, given one, they're facing like a completely broken Memphis team, and two, he's a 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy in this matchup prior to this. So even just 1 minute alone is enough to go to 29.79 fantasy points at 4,500. That becomes what, 6.62x? Again, just 1 minute. I mean, Danny Wolf is going to go from number 2 in value to number 1 in value, and probably by a mile. That ownership should jump pretty considerably. Because if once you start getting to like 2 minutes, then it gets extreme. It'll probably be up in and around that 7x mark. Pre-lock. Larry says projections updated, so yeah, he got to 7x. All right. We gave him certainly more than 1 minute as expected. 27.9 minutes for Danny Wolf in this first run. 33.5 fantasy points. 7.4x value now. That is a sizable change for a guy that was already very owned and very optimal, and now will be dramatically more so, and should be. Big old boom rate. Now, clearly, you're still messing around with all of this Memphis garbage. But Danny Wolf just looks even better than he did however many minutes ago. And it's really hard to hate him in this spot. This is like a tanktastic affair. 28 minutes certainly doesn't seem crazy for Wolf, but even in a lighter amount of minutes, like his downside is so high. I mean, realistically, you're just kind of hoping he gets in and around his projection today. His boom rate's 60%. All right? Think about it like this. 60% of the time, he hits his goal score today. And he's projected for 33.5. I mean, you're like, realistically, you're just hoping he gets to like 32. That's not even what we have projected. 31, something. If his first digit of his fantasy score starts with a 3, you probably need him. I'm assuming ownership is refreshed. Not yet. Waiting it out. My guess is Larry tells me ownership is refreshed before I even notice it. Even though I can, in fact, look at the direct post. So let's see if that's gone up just yet. Ownership processing complete, which means there it is. Well, that's a number. Danny Wolf up to 79% optimal on that run. Not surprising at all. Jokic, massively positive from an optimal perspective. Now, this is going to recalibrate itself a little bit, but Javon Small is popping like crazy here, unsurprisingly. Cam Spencer as well. I mean, Danny Wolf, look like, God, if Danny Wolf were getting Jalen Williams' minutes, it'd be crazy. I mean, realistically, you really want to get to as much of Danny Wolf as you can in this spot. It's really hard not to. And then obviously that breeds more Jokic, that breeds more SGA. But that change right there is massive on the Brooklyn end. How do you guys feel about that Brooklyn end now? That's sort of the better question. Ooh. Ayo. Keontae George in. That's crazy. Jeff Abramson. It really doesn't matter at all for Memphis Like, I mean, yes, it matters to a degree in that someone that starts will play, but they got 8 bodies. Like, they don't have much of a choice. Grizzlies will start Small, Spencer, Wells, GG Jackson, Omax Prosper. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Small, Spencer, Wells, Jackson, Prosper. Now we got what we need. So now let's circle back. We've got our projections. Well, we've got the projections back updated once again. Pulled Danny Wolf down a hair. 27.95 minutes. He is your number 1 point per dollar option. That's just a monster value right now for what this slate. I mean, this whole top section, Cam Spencer, Small, Traore, Post, all these guys coming in 6x plus. Walter Clayton. Let me see if if there's a second ownership update about to hit. Yeah, there probably is. Yep, there is. Let's see. 12, 13, 15. Yeah, this should be this DraftKings or this regular ownership update should be hitting within the next 30 seconds to a minute, at which point you guys are probably going to be pretty well good to go to start running late swaps for these 2 games. Ownership should have just hit the website now, and it did. So projections updated 7:15, ownership updated 7:17. Danny Wolf up to 54% owned, I think, here. But still showing massive. I mean, we're showing massive positive leverage on Danny Wolf, Nikola Jokic, Cam Spencer, and Javon Small. And I don't really see anything in this data that makes me think that information shouldn't be what it is. Now, typically that means there's some giant negative leverage out there, but realistically, it's just kind of Kelly Oubre, which doesn't matter. Kawhi, I guess, but that feels weird and scary. But now that we have updated projections, let's hop ourselves into the props tool for a second. And for now, I'm just going to focus on Golden State and Utah. In fact, we're going to go straight to Knicks Clips. And we are going to build a 4-leg same game parlay from Knicks Clippers. And that will pay off the promo on DraftKings for us. So, I'm going to go. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to keep it at 80-20 our projections just to get the EV. And I'm going to grab everything here that is, in fact, plus EV. And this is where we're going to have some fun. If you didn't see the strategy show this morning, then you haven't seen this yet. All right, while I get this prepped, I'm going to drop a link in chat for you guys. Perfect. You guys go ahead and head to that link that I just dropped into chat right now. It's going to look like this. You can do one of 2 things. You're going to pick the bet that you like more in that head-to-head matchup. So in the case of what's on my screen, either Mikal Bridges under 3.5 assists or Kawhi Leonard under 3.5 assists. If you like it a lot, you can smash one of those sides. You get 3 of those. As you guys start entering your picks, we're going to build an entire ranking system based on everybody's selections. And when you do that, we'll use the top 4 items as the same game parlay. Now, if you'll see, I'm on the ranking screen right now. We've already had 5 different people place 9 votes. Not only are we going to be able to figure out what we want to bet on, but I'm also going to be able to mention what you guys are picking. So again, the link is in chat. I'll pin this on the screen for a second so you guys can see it. But as the player props pop up on the screen, pick which one you like more. And if you really like it, hit the smash button, but you only get 3 smashes. And by you guys picking those, we're going to make our same game parlay on the screen. And then I'll drop the link in here so everybody can... I'll drop the link on Tails so you guys can follow along and have it as well. It really doesn't get much better than that. We're already up to 98 votes through 22 voters. And so far in the number 1 spot, we're jockeying for position here. Jordan Miller under 9.5 points, or Karl Anthony Towns under 12.5 rebounds. It's a pretty clean line in the sand right now. I could even tell you guys this. Let me see if I can find it. The Towns and Miller props have showed up 4 times total. 3 of you took Towns. 1 of you took Miller in those head-to-heads. We can dig into it like that. And then I can point out who's not making great picks. The most contrarian person so far is Mikkel. 46 votes, 19 of them against the grain. That was the highest contrarian score of anybody. D-Parlay, also quite contrarian thus far, but only in certain spots. More agreement. The worst pick so far belongs to Kevin McGlory. He took Derek Jones under 4.5 rebounds plus assists, which is ranked 10th. And he gave it the smash and beat Karl Anthony Towns in the 2 spot. That is the most contrarian pick we've had so far. Derek Jones Jr. under 4.5 rebounds against Towns under 12.5 rebounds. 31 of you have already placed votes so far. We're starting to look like we're building it out. I'm going to start building the parlay on my phone, since I know that I can't build it on the computer at the same time, and then we can get this same game parlay out to everybody. We'll cut this off in a couple minutes. But if you're here and you don't know what's going on, I have the link on the screen. I could paste it in here again, just in case people missed it before. Disco, that comes out in the wash in the end then. That's good. Wisdom of crowds. All right. 30% profit boost. 4-leg same game parlay. Let's get to the Knicks. Let's get to the Clippers. Now, right away, just based on what I can see in the ratings, 3 of these have broken free. At the very least, 2 of them have. Jordan Miller and Towns. So I'm going to get those in immediately, then we'll figure out what we're doing after that. Towns under rebounds is coming. This is so much fun to me. I don't know if you guys enjoy it. Towns under 12.5 boards, which is tumbling a bit, actually. Jalen Brunson under 10.5 rebounds and assists has run it down, in fact. I don't know what's going on, but the Towns prop is tumbling fast. And has now been overtaken. The moment I put it in, you guys overtook it. So we're going to Jordan Miller under 9.5 points as your starter. And then we're getting Darius Garland over 2.5 rebounds. It's a good line, too. Mikal Bridges over 3.5 rebounds. And then I'm going to call it right now because this is where it's at. Brunson is slightly ahead of Karl Anthony Towns. What's the head-to-head between Brunson and Towns? Rebounds and assists versus rebounds. Brunson versus Towns is 5-2 right now, with 2 smashes going to the Brunson side. So that's going to be it. Brunson under 10.5 rebounds plus assists is going to be the 4th line that we're going to take. These were all the top positive EV options straight out of the props tool. I built this out of this screen right here in the stochastic props tool. 80% of this ranking is based on our stochastic projections. It doesn't get any better than this for us. All right, rebounds and assists for Brunson. Under 10.5. Got it. Line moves slightly, but it doesn't matter. 30% same game parlay profit boost. Max $10 wager. We're getting plus 1,700. The bet is in. Now I'm going to drop this link into chat right now for you guys to head to Tails and tail this one along with me. This is right here the true group parlay. I love this. I hope you guys had a good time doing this. We can do another one if you guys want to. We can do it for a different site if you guys want to. But I think that's a pretty fun gimmick to pick a parlay if we can do it together. All right. Let me get this Tails post up right now. We've got Clippers, Knicks, 4-leg, DK, same game parlay, 30% boost. Alrighty. Tails post is live. If you guys want to tail the parlay that we all just built together, you can do that by clicking the link that I just posted in chat right now. It will take you to Tails. I can show you it right now. You'll see what's going on. You head to Tails, you head to that link. And you are going to see a very easy experience. First and foremost, that's what we just picked. You guys voted on this. These were your 4 best plays out of the list of positive EV plays. We already did the legwork on our side. We make it easy. You just hop into the stochastic props tool. Simple. Derek Jones Jr., 12% EV. Darius Garland, 12% EV. Another Darius Garland, 6. Jordan Miller, 6. OG, 5. Mikal Bridges, 4. Mikal Bridges, 4. All of these are positive EV plays. But now we put our thinking caps together and we hash them out a bit. Let's actually, I didn't even think about this fact. We can do this. And some of these probably have moved since then. But like Jordan Miller, under 9.5 points, ended up being our number 1 pretty easily, I might add. That showed up 4th in EV right now. Towns under 12.5 rebounds. That was quite a bit further down the line. But you guys like that one more than maybe the EV model did. Garland over 2.5 rebounds. That actually is the number 2 option. But what's really interesting here, Derek Jones Jr., under 4.5 rebounds plus assists, is the number 1 positive EV play in our props tool. You guys voted it dead last. Dead last. The number 1 positive EV play in our model right now showed up. Finished 27 and 58 head to head. It only tied 2 different bets. Bridges and Anunoby. Got its doors blown off by every other one of these. So that's kind of interesting. S&P says swaps done, Jazz mostly gone. Yeah, that was a pretty massive swap opportunity there. Well, now we got 3 games locked, only 2 remaining, nothing pressing at this point. So we are going to be able to know ownership. We can take, night ownership. What a completely different slate the night slate is for what we have today. No Memphis. None of this Brooklyn value. Very distinctly different games here for Clippers, Knicks, and Warriors, Jazz is like sort of the same. I appreciate all you guys doing some voting. 33 of you. That makes me happy. I think it's a fun way to look at the data. Some of you tapped out pretty early. You used your 3 smashes and then went about your business. You're able to vote forever and ever and ever. You just keep getting fed multiple options. But we're going to work on that a little bit more and try to build some stuff out for ourselves. Let's see what else is existing in the props tool right now. That isn't for the game that we just took our peek at. Because we do have another game to go. And it's not the one we just bet on. That's Golden State and Utah. Now, there is a pretty decent chunk of positive value options here. Draymond, under 5.5 assists at the top. Gary Payton, over 3.5 rebounds is here. Do we want to try to hunt down another parlay? Let's see what Prize Picks looks like. Not ideal. Have you guys seen any good promos out and about today? I'd love to hit something if you guys saw it at some particular site where we could hit a same gamer on Warriors Jazz. I'm just poking around in the different betting apps right now just to see what the promos are. FanDuel doesn't really have anything unless I'm blind here. Ooh, okay. 25% same game parlay on FanDuel right now. That's got to be the move. So let's pull this up for just FanDuel. And let's see what's available for Golden State and Utah, since we haven't hit that one yet. That'll be perfect. So that's a 3-leg, I believe. Three legs or more, $10 max wager, 25% profit boost. Let's build one out for Warriors Jazz. I'm going to end Clippers Knicks. Appreciate you guys. And then I'm going to just grab all of these positive options that I see on the screen right now. This will make up our pool of bets. And then you guys are going to get to work voting on these bad boys. Alrighty. We are live once again. It is time to vote on plays. Click the link I dropped in chat. It will look like the screen right now. You can vote as many times as you want, but you only get 3 smashes. The smash buttons are unique. It's a normal vote if you click on the card. It's 2 votes. Counts as 2 votes if you click the smash button. You can vote it. You'll continue to get combinations you've never seen before if you keep voting. But we are going to make a 3-leg same game parlay on FanDuel based on this information. And we can keep tabs on how everybody's doing here. And a reminder, we're taking a group of bets from our props tool that we've already determined are positive EV. We're not dumpster diving and doing this. We're just taking a collective group effort to find out what we like the most about this game. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's kind of fun. Did I get tagged in something here? Sort of. Alrighty, we're up to 22 voters, 147 votes, and I would not be me if I didn't point out that the most contrarian person so far is Mighty Saint. But Johnny Late Slate is also close. D Parlay, you know how to be contrarian in certain spots. At the moment, the biggest gap in picks is Guy Santos under 1.5 threes, which was made by Mighty Saint. Took that over Draymond over 5.5 rebounds. That is the number 12 seed taking on the number 4 seed. It's a 16-point gap when you double it. Okay, so right now we're starting to get some separation. Without question, the number 1 option through the votes is Bryce Sensabaugh over 2.5 threes made. That is number 1. Well, was number 1 with a bullet. Draymond in 3 straight overs. So I take it you guys are pretty big fans of Draymond here. He's winning over and over and over again. And I assume he's beating himself a lot. So it's going to be, it looks like it's going to be some combination of Bryce Sensabaugh, one of these Draymond plays, and whatever ends up probably a Gary Payton or a Pat Spencer. We can probably take Draymond points and Draymond rebounds instead of points plus rebounds. But as you can see, you can dig into this too. You can see all of the head-to-head matchups against the other props. You can see your own votes if you have them. You can see who's on what side. Those Draymond props are pretty popular. Where's Draymond versus Draymond? Points versus rebounds. That's got to be fun to see. I need a better filter system. I didn't realize that until right now. Too many Draymonds. Yeah, Draymond rebounds versus Draymond assists. That's fun. Cody Williams over 3.5 rebounds is destroying Draymond making threes. All right, we're up to 503 votes across 33 voters. You guys are awesome for this. I can't explain how much I love doing this. This is really fun to me. And the fact that we can just pull this directly from our tools and then we can just all come to a consensus on it, you can't beat it. Don't forget, we make it very easy. The link is in the description to sign up for the props tool if you want to do this. Now, obviously, we're not going to be voting together for your plays, but you could just take the Gary Payton play, the Draymond play, these highly positive EV plays, and put your card together immediately, track them right on the side, and make that bet. All the data is right here for you. It's immediate. Click the link in the description to do so. All right, whatever data is up here right now, I'm going to start building this 3-leg same-game parlay on the FanDuel side. So we're going Warriors, Jazz. And honestly, we've got a pretty clear line in the sand here. It's 2 Draymonds, which we really can't take. So we're going to kick this particular Draymond out at one point. So Bryce Sensabaugh over 2.5 threes made is just here. This one's in by default. Even money on that bad boy at this moment. I realize Draymond over 5.5 rebounds. I got to take the winner, I guess. So Draymond over 5.5 boards is in. Clearly can't take the points plus rebounds option. We do really fall off, though, after that. It looks like we got to go... We keep waffling between Conchar rebounds and Gary Payton. Gary Payton over 3.5 rebounds. Now, Gary Payton over 3.5 rebounds has trounced that Conchar one. The Payton line is now up to third. That's what we're going to take. Gary Payton over 3.5 boards. Those are our 3 lines on FanDuel, taking 3 positive plays out of the tool. 25% profit boost, $10 max wager, plus 578 at the moment. Let me get this screenshot posted for you guys. We'll get it up on Tails. You guys can tail, and we'll have 2 separate plays coming out of the tools for tonight. Didn't cost you guys a cent either. Not bad. Not bad. All right, picture saved. Ryan, you don't need a pass. You got to vote. There's no ambiguity here. Even if you don't like either of them, they'll still fall to the bottom. But those matchups matter too. There's no value in fence sitting. Alrighty. I have now officially got my screenshot. So I'm going to head to Tails. And we are going to get our second play locked and loaded. And then I'm going to get out of here, by the way, guys, since there's not anything coming up at 8 o'clock. This will be the final thing that we do. FanDuel, 25% profit boost. Utah Golden State. Oh, I sent the wrong image. I'm dumb. Give me a second. I'm a moron. All right. Much better. Much better. Guys, hit the like button if you haven't done it yet. To the 560 of you that are still here, I greatly appreciate it. I love having you guys. We got a lot more games tomorrow. I think that's going to be highly beneficial. We'll have a lot more data to dig into the moment that we get tomorrow's games. I think there's 12 games on the slate. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody that knows off the top of their head, but I'm almost positive there's 12 games on the slate tomorrow. We are going to have an infinite amount of stuff to talk about, and I am very much looking forward to it. It's a big old slate. All right, this is finally going in there. I messed up my photo and I couldn't get it attached, but I got it here now. Live. I'm so bad at typing on my phone. It's crazy. Live after lock. Same game parlay. Golden State. And the Clips. Nope. Golden State and the Jazz. I'm dumb. All right, we're posted. Now we're locked and loaded. Let me get you guys this link so that you guys can also join me on the money-making endeavor that is same-game parlays on Tails. Here we go. And for the reason we put it on Tails, for any of you that don't understand, here's the easiest way to describe it. Here's the one that I posted before for Clippers and Knicks. You click this tail button underneath it, and boom. Every single one of these bets that we already have are here across whichever sports book you're using. Immediate link to where you want to be. You want to put that in on FanDuel, on BetMGM, on Novig, on Onyx Odds. You could tail these parlays directly through Tails, one click. And by the way, totally free. This is totally free on Tails. You could get this for no cost whatsoever. You just open the app, you follow me, you click that button. 56 of you got there and hit the flame emoji. I think we're going to see the same thing on the FanDuel side. My guess is it's already populated. You know it is. FanDuel same game parlay posted. One click tail if you want to. And from what I see, you might even be able to find better lines out there. You know what you guys can do to find better lines in places? Sign up for Odd Shopper. Head to the odds screen. You won't find a better experience anywhere else. You won't find lines updating faster. You won't find a deeper run of markets, leagues, sites. I could scroll for days for some of this stuff. And it is right here at your fingertips. You want alt lines? There's a sea of alt lines available to you just in a dropdown. Sign up for the link in the description. Tomorrow, massive slate. Let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. We have how many games tomorrow? 11 games on the docket tomorrow. 3 7:30s, 3 8 o'clocks, 3 10 o'clocks, and an 11 o'clock. So we are going to have a pretty busy lock, and then a run-up of 3 more games locking while I'm live, and then 3 more locking again at 8 o'clock. That's what we're doing, folks. That's what tomorrow is going to look like. Show up tomorrow for the strategy show, 9 a.m. Eastern time. And you know what you guys can do? We can do some more voting on your best pay-up options, value options, and bets that we can find in the morning. We cover it all bright and early, 9 a.m. Thanks to Spags and Eric for being my lead in here. It's been great having you guys. You're getting me live after lock for the entire week. I'd be nowhere else. Thank you guys for being here. I'll talk to you later.